this episode of Trade Talk. How would you be impacted if your customer didn't pay you?
We'll discuss the options and cost of managing that risk when selling to customers outside of Canada, including the US.
Hi, I'm Melanie Carter.
And I'm Dominique Bergevin. Welcome to Trade Talk.
Every day at EDC, we talk to hundreds of Canadian companies about the risks and opportunities of growing their international sales. Trade Talk is where we share some of the insights from those conversations.
Today we are exploring the risks involved in selling to customers outside of Canada.
These risks can keep exporters up at night. One major concern is the risk of not being paid for goods in transit or already received by your customer. If one of your biggest customers can't pay, what's the impact going to be?
Consider your balance sheet for a second. A few bad debts can be all it takes to wipe out your profit margin. I suppose a simple question to ask is, could you survive a major bad debt? Could you continue to pay your employees and suppliers?
Actually, Dominique, there are a few options to consider when trying to manage this risk. The first one being, you might want to ask your customers to pay you up front.
Sure, but that might not place you in the most competitive situation, especially if your customer is asking you for payment terms and if your competitors are offering these.
That's right. So option number 2 is basically to self-insure against potential losses by setting cash aside.
Okay, under this option, however, you have to accept that a certain portion of your working capital is tied up.
So option number 3 becomes credit insurance.
And some companies find credit insurance to be expensive.
I've heard that from exporters before too. But the cost of insurance has to be weighted against risk and the other benefits that it provides. Let's hear from an exporter who tried both, self-insurance and credit insurance.
I was selling containers to customers. I had one customer in particular that wanted to buy a container, and I went ahead and did the deal, and it was en route. It was shipping across the ocean, and this customer missed payments. Each milestone missed the payments, and there I was looking at this $50,000 container going to be delivered, and I wasn't paid for it. So it was a very uncomfortable situation and a lot of sleepless nights, to be honest. And anyway, I ended up having to buy it. Thankfully, I had enough cash to do it at that time. But on larger containers that are 100,000, let's say, wow, I mean, what do you do there? Right. So I vowed that I would never expose myself to that risk. And now I take deposits up front, and then before it ships, I insure the balance. Right. Which is, you know, I would highly recommend that.
It's peace of mind, right?
Yeah. Okay, so here's someone who says credit insurance is the way to go. What's interesting about Richard's approach is that it also applies to shipments his company is making to the US.
Right. Risk doesn't just come with doing business overseas. Every market has it, even the one next door.
So Richard is sleeping better at night, but he knows it comes at a price.
Still, you could offset that by building the cost of insurance into your pricing. Often, the price difference is pretty small.
And there's also something in it for your customer.
Yes, because insurance lets you offer better payment terms. That can turn into a competitive advantage.
So credit insurance isn't just about managing the risk that your customer doesn't pay. There are other benefits to this credit management option.
Exactly. Your bank might even margin your receivables at a higher percentage to give your working capital a boost. Why not? They know your risks are covered.
You want to offer competitive payment terms, protect your company against the risk that your customer doesn't pay, and give a boost to your working capital? Explore the credit insurance option.
On our next Trade Talk, we'll show you how to make money appear out of thin air. No magic involved.
Until then, keep talking trade.